Did you ever wonder if your race would help you get into the school of your dreams? Friends and family tell you, put that you're 1/4 this or 1/8 that. It could help boost your application and get you over everyone else's. You'll probably get in. The hegemonic power structure is heavily involved in many of the functions of the process for enrollment. However, we'll be focusing on the symbolic annihilation of the minority through the lack of exposure of the stats on what many schools' rates of acceptance of minority students are, compared to how those minorities are represented in the national population. So let's get to some facts. In 1995, the African American population was 15% of the national population, and the Hispanic population was 13% of the national population. However, in the top 146 most selective universities, each race respectively only accounted for 6% of the student body population. What's startling is that the percentages, although varying from university to university, have not changed much since 1995. There have been two major Supreme Court cases, University of California Regents v. Bakke in 1978 and Grutter v. Bollinger in 2003, that have dealt with the topic of minority admissions and the topic of affirmative action in college admissions. Both cases ended up upholding affirmative action policies. However, as seen in Regents v. Bakke, these policies have to be a bit more vague as opposed to the 16 seats out of every 100 rule that caused the trial in the first place. Anti-affirmative action proponents feel that if standards were lowered for students just because of their race, then it would not only be doing the educational system a disservice, but also it would be doing the disservice to the students themselves as well. When one looks into the media portrayal of race in college admissions, you get a very muted or misleading perspective of what's going on. ABC News ran a story about race being a factor in college admissions, and through the selection of those who were quoted, it seemed as though ABC News itself endorsed affirmative action programs in college admission processes. The Washington Post and townhall.com both published articles just basically stating that the majority of Americans thought race shouldn't be involved in college admission processes. The New York Times put out an article with the headline reading, "Race in College Admissions, Facing a New Test by Justices." Contrary to being about a Supreme Court justice's point of view of affirmative action, which is what it sounds like it would be about, it was entirely about a young Caucasian woman who had been denied entry into the college of her dreams, even though she is more than overqualified, and how the Supreme Court was going to be hearing the case. This news coverage, however valuable it may be, is merely a start. The hegemonic power structure seems to be purposefully leaving off coverage of the top institutions when it comes to actual rates in which people of color are truly being admitted. The definition of symbolic annihilation is the absence of representation or underrepresentation of some group of people in the media, often based on their race, sex, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, etc., to be a means of maintaining social inequality. Through the underrepresentation of how those of color struggle to get into college, whether it is due to socioeconomic reasons, race, or gender, the hegemonic power structure is symbolically annihilating them by not showing the facts and allowing the general public to really do something about it. After all this, do you still think that in all the things you do before college, such as applications and SATs, that you should still be checking the little boxes for race, ethnicity, or gender, especially when they have so much bearing whether you get accepted or not?